see that that's actually a thing. But perfect. So this is Ryan here. Ryan, I'll let you introduce yourself and let everyone know what we're going to be reviewing today and what to expect.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about 15 different strategies that you can use in your farm, but you can also use it in your business as well. So even if you aren't farming, a lot of the strategies are definitely applicable to your business. These strategies are things that I've done personally, or agents that I've coached and trained have done personally. So they do work, they're tested, they're not just pie in the sky ideas. Some of the things we're going to go through are a little more work. Some of them are easy. Some of them are simple. I try to make things as easy for people to implement as possible and as cost effective as possible. And when it comes to farming, most people think about farming as postcards and door knocking. We're not going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about actual things you can implement in your business that are easy to do, like I said, and things that you can layer in. And we'll get to that in how we can layer those into your business as a whole. But really, I'm a big fan of farming. I love farming. And when we get to the presentation, I'll share my experience and what I've done, and then we can go through there. What I'm going to do is we'll have questions at the end. If there's anything that's pressing, obviously feel free to jump in, but I want to go through the presentation just from a timing perspective because it's a pretty hefty presentation. So I want to make sure we've got enough time, but there will definitely be enough time at the end for questions. And that's what I love to do is to ask questions. So you can drop them in the chat if you want, or save them till the end and we'll answer them that way too.
Awesome. Perfect. Sounds great.
All right. Get started with my presentation then.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And as you guys, there is the chat down there and the Q&A section as well. So if you're just putting your questions in there, then we have them all. We can kind of go through them one by one afterwards. And then, yeah, make sure everything gets covered.
All right. So give me a second. Just let it load. Everyone see that okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to jump in. Like I said, I'm not going to answer the questions in the chat in the middle because I want to make sure the presentation. But you can put them in there and I will make sure we get to them as we go through. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about 15 strategies, like I said, that you can implement in your business. You can apply these right away. Most of the 99% of these are COVID friendly. So the things you can do, you may have to tweak or adapt it a little bit, but I created this presentation in the middle of COVID. So they are COVID friendly. They're not going to be something you have to wait till COVID's over in a year from now to start implementing. So you can literally go out and start putting these into practice today. So I'm going to share who I am. We'll talk about what is farming. We'll talk about why you should be farming. I'm going to talk about strategy styles, and it's something I've developed is called the SCOPE method. So what I'm going to do is break down that SCOPE method for you, and I'm going to share 3 different strategies for each one of the SCOPE methods. So then you can think about how you can implement into your business. We'll wrap up with a summary, and then we'll share what's next. So again, I'm going to jump right in and get going with it. So I'm Ryan Smith. I am the creator of the Launch Your Farm show and program. So I run an online show. If you guys haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. You can go to YouTube/Launch Your Farm. You can find me on Facebook. I interview agents who do geographic farming at a high level. I go down from micro farms up to people doing 40, 50,000 homes. I interview professionals. Addo's actually been on the show. We talked about how to use online leads in your farm and things like that. So I'm very passionate about farming and I really love it. I've ran a successful farm with my old business partner. When we parted ways, he kept the farm and I went on to doing different things, and part of it as coaching and training. I am a speaker, a trainer, and a coach. This month is 13 years in the business for me. So I am an agent myself. I'm licensed. I don't really do much real estate anymore now because I'm focusing on the training side of things. And I was the past host of The Niche Agent. So you may have seen me about 6 or 7 years ago. I used to do a podcast called The Niche Agent, and that was a fun thing to do. And obviously I'm a fan of geographic farming. It's something I'm passionate about. I love doing. And I think it's a big opportunity for a lot of agents. And we're going to share why that is in a couple seconds. So what is farming? If you're new to the business, never heard of farming, what I'm not talking about is fruits and vegetables. I'm not talking about being a old McDonald and going out and farming. Farming is, I believe, the future. I really believe that the future of real estate is farming because things have really shifted. Strategies have changed. Online search engines have changed their focus to hyper-local. Back in the day when farming first came out 20, 30, 40 years ago, people were doing farming and it was a very traditional way of doing things. And then the internet came out and people started spreading themselves out all over because they could do internet leads anywhere and all over. And we moved away from farming, but we're seeing a resurgence. I can tell you personally from my own coaching and training experience and from other agents I've talked to many, many, many agents, we're starting to see a resurgence of people really refiguring out what farming is and how you can implement that into your business. And hopefully today I'm going to encourage you to do that and get you excited about that. But what farming isn't, like I mentioned earlier, farming is not postcards and door knocking. those are two strategies that you can use in farming, but that isn't what farming is. Again, I talk to a lot of agents and they talk to me and say, well, I don't want to do farming because I don't want to do postcards and I don't want to go out and door knock. And that's not what farming is. That is how people had farmed in the past, but it's not what farming is really about. That is some strategies that you can use. Today, we're going to talk about strategies, but before we do that, we're going to dive into really what the core of farming is. So farming comes from an analogy like a farm is where you go out there, you plant your crops, you tend to your farm, you watch it grow, and then you reap your harvest, and then you repeat and do that over and over again. So we take the analogy from an actual farm and we implement that into real estate. And farming can be lots of things. It doesn't have to be geographic farming. That's what I talk about, but it can be demographic, sociographic. It can be your database. It can be all kinds of things. It's really just focusing your attention and energy on a specific group. Now, for me, we're going to talk about geographic farming because I think that's where the real opportunities are and there's a lot of value in it. So my definition is strategically focusing your expertise, marketing, and prospecting efforts in one specific geographic area to build a sustainable business and long-term relationships. So it's a long-winded answer to say, become the hyper-local agent to become the go-to person in your area by putting your time and energy in there. Now, it does take time and it takes some resources to do that, but when you do it correctly, you can build a solid business and really grow an incredible business. One thing that when you look at farming, I've boiled this down to and I call CPR. The real fundamental elements of what farming is CPR, which is community, positioning, and relationships. So you have to have the community element in it. The agents who do well really focus on the community side of things. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the strategy styles. And then positioning is super critical when it comes to your farm. And there's two ways you can do that. And I think you should be doing both. One is becoming the ambassador for the community and then also the expert in the area. And when you can do that, you can then increase the chances of you doing business. And then you start to build relationships. So when you get the community, you learn to position yourself, you then you will build long-term relationships. And that's really what the fundamentals are. You can add in all different strategies that work for you. Some things work for me, but the core root of what's going to work for farming is that CPR. So why do you want to do farming? There's a lot of benefits. I'm just going to wrap up and give you some, not wrap up, I'm going to give you a few of why I think farming is so good and why you should be considering it in your business. The first is it's much more efficient than traditional methods of business. If you've ever tried cold calling or gone out there and gone door knocking or tried just sending out advertisements over and over and over again, it's not very efficient. When you do a farm correctly, it starts to fund and feed itself. And again, the agents who have done farms very well literally can build a business that starts just feeding itself business and you can just maintain it. The other reason why farming is effective and efficient is that if you do it correctly, you don't have to drive all over to do business. You can literally pick the area you want to focus on and get a ton of your business from that small area. So you can literally choose an area that's in your backyard if you wanted to, or 5 minutes, 10 minutes away. And you don't have to drive an hour to go do a deal. And you get enough business from your area that you're not wasting a lot of time and energy. The other reason why farming is so great is it, again, positions you as that local expert. And when done correctly, you can really become that expert where people are throwing themselves at you to do business with you. And because of that, you can convert more leads. You get those come list me calls, the objections disappear when you show up at the appointments. I just did an interview today for my show. I just recorded before we finished. And he said he went from, I think it was like 60 or 70% conversion rate of his normal leads to 95% conversion. He said he very rarely doesn't get the deals because he's become that expert and become the ambassador. So when he gets those calls, they're just come in. He said he literally had a person come in. He hasn't even stepped foot in the door. He was on the front porch and they said, okay, let's get the paperwork signed and get it ready to go. So when you position yourself as that expert, you're able to convert more leads, you get more business, and it's, again, more efficient. The other reason why farming is so effective is it's a sustainable long-term business model. And when you do it correctly, when you layer in your strategies, you can then create this safety net, which protects your business and protects how you do your business and then allows you to keep growing. COVID is a perfect example. A lot of people had businesses that were built on open houses and door knocking. COVID comes along and completely wipes out your business because now you can't do that. If you're in an area that is in lockdown, you can't do that. So when you layer in your strategies, you may lose one or one may not be as effective, but you're adding in different approaches and different strategies that really create an opportunity for you to grow your business and keep it protected. And then lastly, it's a community-based approach. And when you do farming correctly, the agents who do really well at farming have put the community first. And when you do that, the community will give back to you. And you have to move from transactional mindset to community mindset. And when you do that, the business just starts to pour in and you start to get a lot more deals. And again, going back to that efficient way of doing business and that positioning as the expert, the community-based approach will really help you expand your business. So we're going to jump right into strategy styles, explaining the scope method, and then we're going to jump right into the strategies you can implement. So one of the things I developed, I call it the scope method. And it's the best way to grow your farm and really your business as a whole. And it stands for self-promotion, community, online, prospecting, and education. And why this is important is you need to learn to have a balanced approach in your business. There are a lot of agents who do well at one of these things. They may be great at self-promotion, but they're a one-trick pony and that's all they do. Or they may be great at just prospecting and they're missing out on a bunch of business. Or you may be involved in the community, but you're not doing the other things. To have a well-balanced business that's going to grow and really expand, you need to have a balance in your business. And you do this by learning to implement the scope method into your business. Again, the interview I just did has not come out yet, but he shared how he actually doubled his return on his investment by learning to layer in his strategies. He said he had a few strategies that he used before, and then when he started layering them together, things started taking off, and he went from a 10 times return on his investment to over a 20 times return on his investment because he learned to layer in these strategies. So when you do that in your business, you again create that safety net. You are able to add more business into you're able to get more business from the area. And you're able to be much more efficient with your business. So what I'm going to do is explain each one of these in a bit more detail, and then I'm going to share 3 different strategies for each one that you can use. So self-promotion is what I consider traditional real estate farming. When you think of farming, this is what most people think of. It's that self-promotion. It's getting your name out there to as many people as possible and just getting out there as often and is to as many people as you can. The great thing is it definitely still works and it can definitely be effective, but it's not as effective as it used to be. I've coached and trained a lot of agents, and the agents who have been in the business for a long time know that the strategies they used to use 10, 15, 20 years ago are not working to the same effect. Some of them are still working, but not to the same degree that they used to be. So they are effective, but from a cost perspective, from a return on investment perspective, they're not seeing the same results. And if you have a large farm, again, if you're doing traditional old school farming with this self-promotion, it can be very expensive, especially if you're doing offline marketing like postcards and flyers and things like that. It can be very expensive to reach the audience. And then with that, it takes a lot longer to build trust. I'm sure if you've heard about farming, people tell you, I'll expect to see results in 6 to 18 months before you really start seeing results. That's based on that traditional style of farming, which is that self-promotion style. You can speed the process up much quicker and get deals happening much quicker if you layer in your strategies and reach people in a different way. The other thing with self-promotion is it doesn't capture everyone's interest or doesn't reach everyone at the same time. And a perfect example is a postcard. You may have 4 or 5 people living in a home, and one person might be the only person who goes and gets the mail. The other 4 people don't get the mail. The person gets the postcard, chucks it out, but maybe the spouse or the other person living in the house would have responded to that postcard, but you only had one chance to get that seen. So you're not reaching everyone. You're not capturing people's interest because not everyone's going to resonate the same way. So we want to spread ourselves out so that we're hitting people in different ways to capture as broad of an audience as we can. Now, that being said, self-promotion does work. We just have to know that it's not as effective, especially as a standalone approach. So I'm going to dive in and share 3 different strategies with a different flair that you can use on how to get out there and self-promote. Now, the first one is one I think is one of the most important ones and the most underutilized is local business interviews. The reason why local business interviews are so powerful is 3 reasons. The first is you're going to help get in front of their audience. So as you interview local businesses, they've got an audience of themselves. So they're going to actually share it and you're going to be able to reach their audience. The other reason it's effective is you can create content for your own audience so you can provide value to them. So by doing these local businesses, interviewing these local businesses, you're now actually providing good content that your audience will resonate with. And then the other reason is you're helping the local businesses. And that's the biggest impact. And that's the biggest reason why this can help. Right now, with everything going on with COVID, we have such an opportunity to help give back to that community and make an impact. These local businesses are struggling. We all know it. We've heard it. We felt it. Maybe you've got small businesses yourselves in your family or friends. And people are hurting. And we have an opportunity to really make an impact in the community and give back. The other thing is the community is hyper local and hyper aware of how important those local businesses are. So they're paying attention to it. The shop local is so much on people's minds right now. more than it ever has been because of everything that's happened with COVID. So we have an opportunity to help position ourselves as the ambassador for the community and to give back. And going back to that first thing that I mentioned, that we're getting in front of their audience, we're able to create opportunities and create ways to reach a broader audience very quickly and very effectively and get in front of more people. And I use this example all the time, that the best way to be introduced to someone is through someone else. That's why referrals are so powerful. When you do local business interviews, when you feature that local business, they're going to go share it. They're going to tell their friends and family about it, and they're going to want to get that message out there. I always say that if I put an ad on Facebook, I don't go run and tell my parents and tell my friends and family that, oh, look, I put an ad on Facebook, because no one really cares. But if I got featured on something, if someone interviewed me, or if there was a story about my business or what I was doing, I'm much more apt to go share that with my friends and family, because it resonates with me and it makes me look good and it makes me feel good. So by interviewing these local businesses, you're going to help reach their audience as well. And you're going to expand your reach in the area. So local business interviews are super powerful, not expensive at all. You literally, if you've got a cell phone, you can get out there and start doing videos. Obviously, you can up the quality. If you've got Zoom and a computer, I know you're here, you've obviously got a computer, you could do Zoom meetings and talk to those local businesses if you're worried about it, about COVID and doing that. So you can set it up very easily, very efficiently, and not too much money. So I would really consider doing local businesses in your area as an interviewing process, and I can really help speed up and help you become that ambassador. The next one is to brand the neighborhood. So this is a different way of self-promotion. A lot of people, when they think about self-promotion, they think about promoting themselves literally. So most agents, and unfortunately, there's a lot of over 100 people on here, you've been taught that you should get your name out there, you should get your face out there, because that's the way everyone else has done it. The reality is everyone's doing it that way. So you're not going to stand out and be different. When everyone else is branding their name in their face and you brand your name in your face, you look just like everyone else. So you can take a different approach by branding yourselves around the neighborhood. And when I started my first farm, that's what we did. So we focused on the orchard in Burlington, and we branded ourselves as the Orchard Real Estate Team. And instantly that builds credibility, because people knew who we were, what we did, and that we focused on that area and we were the specialists in that area. And we started our farm in September. And by January, we got our first listing, and we walked into the appointment and she said, well, you're the expert. So you tell me what I should do. And then the next appointment was, you're the expert. And the next one was, you're the expert. The reality is I'd never even sold a home in that neighborhood before, but because of our positioning, or the branding, we were able to position ourselves as the experts very quickly and build trust very easily by branding ourselves around the neighborhood that we farm. So if you are thinking about farming, or if you have farmed, I'd really urge you to consider branding yourselves around the neighborhood and not just your name and your face. Not saying that you shouldn't brand your name and your face, but just doing that alone is not going to be enough to stand out, and you won't create enough value for people, because that doesn't add value to the people. But when they know that you focus on the area and they know that you care about the community, that helps you go back to that CPR, that community, and the positioning. It covers off both of those things. So one of the things I like to do is, if you can, do a visual representation of the area. So you can build a brand around that, you can build a logo around that, and really tie that together so people can see what area you're servicing and create a visual representation of that. So that's a great way to self-promote without promoting yourself the way people have done traditionally in the past. The next one is to position yourself as the expert. I've talked about that. We've talked about how important that is. Becoming the expert is so critical to really growing your brand fast and really growing the business quickly. You can do that in different ways. Again, you don't ever have had to have even sold a home in the neighborhood to help position yourself as the expert. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some research. Maybe you've got some skills that you've already got. Maybe you've got some knowledge that you've already got that you can use in your business. But there's a number of ways you can do that. The first is local events and things to do in the community. So for myself, I use this story all the time. I share when I moved. I've actually moved 3 different times in my career. I've started all over. I started in Kawartha Lakes, then I moved to Durham region, then I moved to Burlington. Each time I didn't know anyone in the area. I had to start fresh. When I moved to Durham region, I was dating someone. That was the only person I knew. And I was looking for date ideas because I wanted to know, what can I take her out on and where can we go? And I looked up things to do in the area. And there really wasn't one place that had something going on that showed all the different places. So I started a blog called 52 Things to Do in Durham Region. And very quickly, I became that expert. I became the go-to person. I focused on events and things to do, and that helped build my credibility. So you can do things like that by showcasing what's happening in the area. Again, focusing on those local businesses can really help you elevate that. Going back to those business interviews is a great way to do that. Highlighting and spotlighting what local businesses are going, what's happening with the local businesses in the area can be a great way to become the expert that way. You can focus on schools. There's a number of agents who've done incredibly well in their areas by focusing on the schools. They let people know what's happening in the schools, what programs are available. They interview the teachers and the principals. They talk about the programs that you can take, what grades they go to. Some agents do ratings for the schools. So becoming the go-to person for the schools can really help elevate you as that expert, because a lot of people, schools matter. And if that does matter to people and you're showing that you're the expert, you can position yourself as that go-to person. Another one would be market trends and prices. I always urge people, if you're going to do something like this and become the expert with market trends and prices, is don't make it boring. You can't be out there just rambling off average stats, average figures, and then hoping people resonate. There's a lot of information out there. You got to put your own personal spin on it, your own flavor on it. You got to make it realistic but understandable, and you got to make it fun. If you do it correctly, you can really build a solid following and let people know that you're an expert in the community and understand the market, again, without even have had to have sold a home before, by becoming that expert. Another opportunity is to focus on the builders. That's one of the things we did in our area when we started our farm. Was the area was about 15 or 17 years old at the time when we started. And I wanted to know all the developers who had built in that area. I went to the builders. I got some of the floor plans. I got as many as I could. I talked to other people. If they had floor plans, I got copies of it. I got one developer. I got their entire plans from a friend who gave me them. And then I actually went to one of the developers, and then they ended up printing me off a copy of them. And we researched and we learned and we understood what floor plans, who built where, when did they build, what elevations they had. So when I walked into an appointment, I could say, you have the Empire model, that's 1,356 square feet, and you have an elevation B. I walk in that appointment, I feel confident because I know exactly what they have. They're confident in me because I know what I'm talking about. I know the information, and I'm an expert in that area. So if you have an area that you're farming on and you can get that information, that can be great. Now, if you're in an area that's 100 years old and you don't even know who built it because it was all just one-off people building it, it might not be as easy to do. But if you're in an area that has been developed or is developing, collect that information and keep it. Even if you do nothing with it, just to have it on hand. You never know when you're going to pull it out, pull out a floor plan, pull out a builder, and know that information will really help you stand out and become the expert. So those are 3 ways you can really position yourself and get yourself out there as the go-to person and really self-promote yourself in a different way. So the next one is community. Now, the agents who have done the best in their farms, and again, I've interviewed lots of agents about this. I've had them on my show. The ones who do incredibly well put the community first. And they've learned that the community is the one who's going to feed them their business. And if you give back to the community first, you are going to see great results. A lot of traditional farming is very transactional. It's very all about me, all about the transaction of the sale. And the agents who have learned to put the community in place first are the ones who are really blowing those people out of the water, because they've learned that the people care and they care that you care. So the great thing with community and what I call social farming is you're reaching people in a different way. The people that may resonate with the self-promotion may not resonate the same as the community, and vice versa. So you're going to reach people in different avenues. The other thing is you can piggyback off of events and the connections you've already got. So you don't have to start from scratch. If you're walking to an area, you don't have to become the go-to, the event maven and create all the kinds of events and things that are happening in the community and create a nonprofit. You can already tie into what's existing and what's there by doing that. Also, there's a ton of options to become the community expert and a bunch of different ways you can do that. And we're going to share 3 of those ways you can do that in a minute, but you can really make it your own. If you're doing traditional type self-promotion, some agents struggle with coming up with content and coming up with ideas, but by doing the community first, you're able to put your own creative spin on it. So if there's certain things you like, if you're a mom and you want to get involved in the moms groups, or if you're into outdoors and you can get involved in outdoor activities, or if you're into pets and you want to focus on the pets in the community, you can really put your own personal spin on it and actually enjoy it because you're doing things that you like and you're passionate about. Now, with community type social farming, it can be expensive depending on what you're doing. If you're just dropping money trying to sponsor events and not doing anything else, it can be very expensive to do that. But it also can be very time consuming. So you may not spend a lot of money. Maybe you're volunteering and getting involved and running all these events and doing all this kind of stuff, and you may not see the results that you expect. So you have to learn to put a balance in place and figure out how much time, how much money, and how much resources am I going to put into this? But if you do it correctly, you can see some great results. So I'm going to jump in and share 3 different strategies you can use with the community. The first is to create a Why I Love contest. And the great thing about this is you're getting the community to create the content for you. So what I would do is get out there, promote to your area. Again, if you're focusing on local businesses, you can get them to help support it and sponsor it. I would get some businesses to provide some donations, some maybe some gift cards and things you can get together, put together into a pool of prizes, and get the community to create a video about why they love the community. And what it does is a number of things. The first is it positions you instantly as the ambassador for the community, because now what's happening is you're creating opportunities for people to talk about why they love the community, and you're the person pulling that all together. It also creates great content for you that you can then use in your marketing, you can use in your promotions, you can use as the, hey, I'm the ambassador, look, I put this together, so people will see that you care about the community. And then you can do this on an ongoing basis, and you can do this on a yearly basis and get people to do new videos. And the other reason why is people are going to bring ideas to the community and share what they love about it, and you may not even realize it. You may not know that there's a small business. You may not know that there's a park over here. You may not know that there's things that are happening in the community. So you're able to really bring the people together and create an amazing opportunity and an awareness for what's great about the community. And what this does is it ties the community together, but it also provides content for people looking into that area. So people are looking to move to the area you're farming. You've got all this amazing content about why people love this community, and it becomes an easy sell as to why it's such a great community to live in, why you're the go-to and you're the ambassador. And the last thing that's really important to understand with this is what this does is it ties the good feelings to you. And when you create this opportunity, you create an opportunity for people to feel good about the neighborhood, and then they tie that to you emotionally. So what happens is they instantly build credibility and trust with you, because even though they're the ones sharing why they love the neighborhood, they tie that good feeling to you because you created that opportunity. That's why people like to leave reviews. That's why people like to donate money at a good cause, because it makes them feel good about themselves. And when you do something like this, that good feeling gets passed on to you, and you're able to unfortunately, we use the word capitalize on it, but you're able to help grow the community, but you're able to leverage that for your own good as well. So I would do why I love contests. It's a great way to get out there, get create great content, and create great vibes and good feelings for the community. Another one is, again, things to do in the area. So I mentioned briefly that what I'd done in the area when I moved to Durham region. I started my 52 Things to Do in Durham blog, and it really took off. And I want to share how successful this can be if you do it correctly and why it's important. If you become the person who's the go-to for what's happening in the community, you connect with so many people and you're able to really grow your business. So when I started my blog, I mentioned I was new to the area, didn't know anyone. I started doing it at about 2 months in. Once people started seeing what I was doing and realized that I was doing this consistently, I was doing a weekly blog, businesses started reaching out to me. So at 2 months in, people are coming to me saying, hey, I've got this event coming up. I've got this thing. Could you promote it? People started coming to me in droves. People were joining the group. I grew the group to about 2,600 people. And I became that ambassador for the community very quickly based on just me sharing other things to do in the community. Again, I wasn't creating the events from scratch. I wasn't doing any of that. I was just showcasing what else is out there. And then about 4 months in, I ended up having the mayor of Whitby came to me and approached me, and they were putting together a private event for 100 of the top movers and shakers in the community. And they were trying to figure out how they can raise the bar for the city and really help grow appreciation for it and get people to know more about it and really share what's going on. And I was in a room with 100 of the top movers and shakers in the area. I was only in the area for about 6 months, and people thought that I had been around for years. People knew me as the guy of the go-to for things to do in the community. And it really elevated my status in the community. And people thought I'd lived there my whole life. And people thought I was super well connected. And I was really just doing something that I was enjoyed and I was passionate about. And it was meant for me to figure out some date ideas. So you can do something like this based on things you enjoy. So if you've got kids, you can do stuff about kids. If you're like to be outdoors, if you're into green eco stuff, you can really tailor this to whatever you want, or just keep it broad and keep it open for the community that you serve. So think about how you can tie the community in together by showcasing already what's going on. Now you can also tie in your own events as well if you want to do that, but showcasing what's happening in the community can be a great way to really build trust and grow your brand. And then you give back. Now we've all heard it's important to give back, but there's some great ways to give back in your farm that can really help grow your business, grow your reach, and really create an opportunity in the community. One of the things I like is food drives, clothing drives, and toy drives. They're very easy to put together. They're very inexpensive to do because you're not buying all the stuff. Now you should be putting in something yourself as well, but if you promote it, you get the community to give back. They're the ones who are donating stuff. And the great thing with something like this is there's so many different touch points. There's so many great marketing opportunities and so many different ways you can communicate with the farm. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time and resources. So you could do quarterly and do a food drive in the spring. You could do a clothing drive in the winter. You could mix it up however you want. And again, going back to those good feelings, when you create an opportunity like this, it gets the general public to feel good about you because you're helping orchestrate something that they're going to feel good about themselves doing. I know a team here in my office that does this almost every quarter, and it's amazing the people that keep supporting it and the amount of people that keep giving every time they do this. And it's a great way to just keep giving back without having to spend a ton of money. Now, again, if I was doing something like this, I would partner with some local businesses and some movers and shakers in the community and really drive it up and make it huge. But it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. So if you're new to the business, it's literally delivering some flyers, doing some social posts, getting the name out there, or getting the event out there to people, and you can create a great opportunity. And this is something you could do consistently, whether it's yearly, twice a year, 6 months, whatever, or every 3 months, whatever you want to do. Another one is an area cleanup. This is a great opportunity. It's COVID friendly because people are going to be distanced. They're outdoors. You can, again, sponsor with some local businesses, get together some food, some drinks, some prizes, some giveaways, and pick an area, a creek, a park, a side of the road, whatever. What it does is it shows that you care about the community and you want to enhance the community and bring the community to higher standards. And it helps tie the community together. And if you do that correctly, it really helps, again, you grow your brand and position you as the ambassador for the area. Another opportunity is to donate to local charities. So you could do that in a couple different ways. You could donate percentage of deals you do off of each deal. So you could say, I'm going to give money off of each deal. You could support them by going out and actually promoting them. You could be buying things from them. You could be letting people know. Literally, when you go out, you're out and about doing things in the area. You could be supporting them by saying, hey, I just donated to here. You could be giving money that way. So supporting a local charity can be a great way to give back locally. One of the things I suggest if you're doing this is to work with charities that are local. It's great to give to big causes, but if you can give to a local charity, it's going to have a bigger impact on a community perspective, and it's also going to have a bigger impact on how people see and what you do. So if you can give to a cause that's literally happening in people's backyard, it will have a much more impact. Supporting local businesses is very similar to supporting those local charities. I would support those local businesses. Don't go support the big chain stores. I mean, not saying you can't or shouldn't shop there, but by supporting those small mom and pop shops, you're going to put more money in the community. I don't know if you know, but the stats, I think it's about for every dollar spent on a local store is like 68 cents goes back into the community. For every dollar spent on a big box store or an out of town store, only 40, I think it's 43 or 45% of the money goes back into the community. So just by supporting local, you're keeping more money in the community, but you're also keeping those businesses afloat. You're keeping those people who live in the community in business, and you're going to be able to get their name out there. You're going to help support them. One of the guests on my show, Jessica Starr, she shared a story how when COVID first hit, she did this special promotion for this company, and she did a ton of love on them and just promoted the heck out of them because she loved them. And they came to her after and was in tears thanking her and said, you had no idea the impact that made on my business. We were about to close up our shop because we didn't have enough money to pay the bills. That promotion kept us going for a few months, and you have no idea the impact that made. So we can support these local businesses, give back to them, and help them stay afloat. And they're going to remember your name. They're going to give back to you. Their kids go to school with your kids. They shop at the same places you shop. They've got houses too. They're going to make a move as well. So again, you can go reach their audience too. So supporting those local businesses is super important. Another opportunity is to volunteer. And when I tell people to volunteer, it's great to volunteer, but don't go there volunteering hoping just to get business. Because if you're doing that, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I tell people all the time, don't go there volunteering and then passing out business cards. You have to do something that you're passionate about and that ties together. Now, I would volunteer at a localized thing or local cause because it's going to have an impact more locally than just a broader reach. So if you're out and about, find some opportunities in the community that you can volunteer. And lastly, sponsor a team or event. And I always put this last because it's one of the least effective ways to give back is by sponsoring a team and event. If you're active and engaged in the community around that, then it's more worthwhile. If you have children who are playing sports, sponsoring their team is more impactful than just walking out and just sponsoring a team. I know people who have sponsored teams and get nothing from it. If you're out and about and you're meeting parents and you're talking to people, sponsoring a team can be great. Same with events. If you're out and about and you're part of that event and you're going to be there, then sponsoring can be a great opportunity. But there are ways to sponsor events without having to fork out a ton of money. And that's something I can teach. I teach agents in one of my programs, but sponsoring events is good, but it's just, again, there's a lot of people willing to take your money and just put your logo on a banner, and you don't get much for that. So it's one of my least favorite ways to give back, but it can be effective if done correctly. So online, there are a ton of online strategies you can use and implement in your business. And that's the great thing with online. There are so many different ways you can do online. There's some great ways and there's some not so great ways. There's some expensive ways and there's some not expensive ways. The great thing is there's everything in between, and you got to figure out what's going to work for you. The problem is a lot of agents end up getting lost down a rabbit hole of online strategies, and they think all kinds of ideas, and they look at different things, and they spend money here and spend money there, and they don't really track it and don't make sure they don't see if it works or not. And you can easily get lost down a rabbit hole of researching or just dropping a bunch of money, and it can cost you time and resources. So you have to be strategic with your online marketing when it comes to your farm. Because of that, not all online strategies are created equal. So you have to be careful. There are some that work and some that work incredibly well. And there's some who they'll take your $5,000 and they'll do SEO and then you don't get any results from it. So you want to make sure that it ties together and works together correctly, and then you're going to get a return on investment. So there's a number of ways you can do that. The first one is video. And if you have not heard of video, you're living under a rock, because video has been the thing that people should be doing for a long time. Again, I got started 13 years ago. When I started 13 years ago, they were saying video is the future of real estate. Every year, it's video is the future of real estate. Video is the future of real estate. And the problem is agents are terrified to do video. They're afraid of looking silly. They're afraid of getting on camera. They're afraid of they're not sure what they should be doing. Video is so important, and you can be doing video in your farm at a high level if you do it correctly. One of the things you could do is a client needs and wants. So if you've got leads coming in and you've got leads that are buyers or sellers that you want to let people know about, I would do a video on a regular basis. You could do a weekly video and say, hey, this week we've got buyers looking for this. We've got sellers who are thinking about selling. If you're thinking about making a move, keep us in the loop. That's a very simple way to do that. Get it out there and do it consistently. Maybe do it monthly, maybe do it every other week. One of the people who's taking my boot camp just used this approach, and brand new agent started this approach, borrowed some listings, got a lead from it, took that lead, leveraged that lead by saying, hey, I've got a buyer looking for this, and turned it into another deal within 2 weeks. So it can work very well if you do it right, but you got to do it consistently and do it honestly. Don't say you've got buyers and sellers and you don't. So you have to be honest about that. Another one is to do market updates. Again, going back to not being boring, we want to make sure if we're doing market updates that it's not just the same old drab, monotone. I've got just sharing average days on market, average price increase. Make it fun, make it exciting, and tie it to the community. So Matt Santagapit, I think he was the third guest on my show. He does a Monday market update, rain or shine, without fail. Even if it's a holiday, he does Monday market update video. And what he does is he records that in the city. So he's in London and he records it in front of different places. So he's tying himself to the community visually and doing his updates, and then makes it fun as well. You can sit here behind your own screen and do it the same place every time. But if you tie it to the community, if you tie the market updates to the area you're serving, you're going to have a higher response rate. You're going to have people really connecting and resonating with the videos and knowing that you are out and about and caring about the community. Another opportunity is to do your own Why I Love. So we talked about having other people create a Why I Love series, but create your own Why I Love program. Share why you love the community. If you're serving the community, share why you love it, what you like about, what things that impress you, what things do you like when you're out and about. Literally, you have your phone. Hey, I'm just at the park. I love this place. This is a great place. You know, I come down here with my kids, or I like to go to this restaurant, or I go on these trails all the time. Share why you love the community, because people want to know that you care about the community. I did a webinar a couple months ago, and someone had asked a question saying, what if there isn't something you like about the community, or there isn't a lot of great things happening in the community? And I said, then you're either in a very wrong community and you shouldn't be farming that area, or you don't really love the community and you shouldn't be farming it either way. If you don't love the area you're serving, if you don't think there's great things about the area, then you shouldn't be doing it. There are great things. Even if it's a crappy neighborhood, there's got to be some great things about the neighborhood that you can share and showcase. So sharing that love for the community will really help tie you in as the ambassador and help you connect with people that way as well. Another opportunity is to create a welcome video. So welcoming people to the area. again, a lot of people are moving from the city, moving out to different areas. There's a lot of movement right now because of prices, because of the market. So there's a lot of people looking to relocate, and we have an opportunity to really create a great welcome video about the area you're serving. So showcase all the things we talked about, the schools, the parks, the restaurants, the businesses, and let people know what to expect when they come to your area, and tie it into why you love it as well. You can use some of the clips from your Why I Love contest and share why other people love the area. But if you create a video, people are going to resonate with that and go, okay, this is a great community. Ryan serves this area. He loves the area. Look at all the great things there is. I really like this area. So focusing on that will really help. Again, another opportunity is to spotlight local businesses. So you don't have to do videos of interviewing someone. You can spotlight them. So if you're just out and about and you love a certain business and you want to highlight what's going on, you could be out having lunch and saying, oh, I'm just at this place. I love the sandwich. It's fantastic. And let people know about the community. By using video on an ongoing basis, and again, tying it to the community, people will resonate with what you're doing and connect that you, or they'll have you connect the dots that you're the ambassador for the community. So if you're not using video, I strongly urge you to do that because it is super valuable. Another one is Facebook groups. I literally have an entire 1-hour session I teach on Facebook groups. So I'm literally giving you the super hyper Cole's notes version of this, but there is a tremendous opportunity in running your own Facebook group or being active in Facebook groups in your hyper local area. There's a number of reasons why this is so powerful. Again, I'm not going to go into it too much because I could teach for an entire hour, but neighborhood groups is a great way to really get out and connect with people. If you're not familiar, Facebook groups and Facebook pages are very different. And I use this example all the time, that Facebook groups is like having a conversation with your audience, and Facebook pages is having a conversation at your audience. So one is like going to a party and talking to different people, and you're having conversations, and you can actually listen in and hear what conversations are going on. And a Facebook page is like someone standing on a stage just talking at you, like I'm doing right now, talking to you. So you create opportunities and you connect with people when you have conversations with them on a one-to-one basis and you're having open dialogue. And that's why Facebook groups are so powerful, because you're able to peer in on these conversations, you're able to join the conversations, you're able to start the conversations, and you get a lot more organic reach that way. And you connect with the community, and it really ties the community together. So you can do that by being in a neighborhood group. So I know a lot of agents who have done incredibly well with a neighborhood group specifically for their area. You could go and create a real estate group. So whether it's for real estate agents specifically, or if it's for the open public about real estate, what's happening in your farm area. Again, things to do. We talked about that and how you can tie that into what's happening in the community, or interest specific groups. I've had a few people on the show. I just recorded an episode with a guy who focuses on food restaurants, and he doesn't eat in his area. He has over 10% of the population in his city in his Facebook group, because he talks about all the different restaurants and he goes and does videos of all the different restaurants. So you can tie in the community into interest specific. So something you're passionate about and something you like. So there's a tremendous opportunity to really get connected at a hyper local level with your community by using Facebook groups. And then you can do a community Instagram account. So a lot of people, when they think of Instagram, they think about themselves, they think about selfies, and they think about people taking pictures of their food or their pets. Treat your farm as if it was a real person. What would they be showing off? What would they be highlighting? And create an Instagram account literally for the community. So if you live in the orchard, create the orchard Instagram account and highlight photos and things that are happening in the community from the community's perspective. What happens is it takes the going back to that self-promotion, it moves you from that just promoting yourself to promoting the community and becoming the ambassador. And then you can actually create more opportunities, because community will actually submit content for you. They'll share ideas and pictures and things like that. And you're going to have a lot more engagement by doing it that way. And when you build it around the community, you're able to connect with people a lot easier. People will resonate with it and want to follow it because it's about the community they serve and not just about you. Let's be honest, most people don't really care about real estate agents themselves. Some people do, but the general public doesn't care what you had for lunch. They don't care what your dog looks like. But if you can represent the community, they're much more apt to care and be engaged with what's happening in their community because they're part of it. Prospecting is another one. So again, most people, if they do farming, they do what we talked about, the self-promotion, and then sometimes they'll tie it in with prospecting, which is what I call lead farming. With prospecting, it's very inexpensive, especially traditional. You need a phone book, you need some running shoes, so you can go out and door knock, or you can make some calls. So it can be very inexpensive. But as a result of that, it takes a lot of time and energy because it is so inexpensive. You're out there slugging it. And if you're like me, I can't stand cold calling. It's difficult to do. It's hard to keep going at it. And you're constantly looking for that next deal. So you're always hunting for the next deal. And if you're doing that, it can drain your energy, and then you don't have time to really serve your area. If you're doing that at a high level, it can be very draining. So with prospecting, there are some easy ways you can do that into your farm and do it correctly and add in a prospecting element without having to take up too much time. The first one, as I mentioned earlier, is a buyer needs and wants. You can do that in a bunch of different ways. You could do that through video, which I talked about earlier. It's a great way to get started. It's a great way to create content on a regular basis. And you're actually prospecting for your clients, because if you've got a buyer and they're looking in a specific area, you're actually going out there and trying to find them properties. And that's what they've hired you to do. They've hired you to try to find them something. So this is a great way to do this on a regular basis. You could do it in a newsletter. So when I send out newsletters for my area, I had 1,300 people getting my newsletter. I have a segment, I call it my client corner. So I've got, here's what my buyers are looking for. Here's what my sellers have off market. If you know anyone, please reach out and let me know. So I let my buyers know, hey, when you work with me, I'm going to put you in my newsletter. You get blasted with all these people in case they know someone, or if I've got a listing coming up, I say, hey, I'm going to put you in my newsletter and let people know that we've got this coming up. We may be able to find a buyer, or at least get the buzz going ahead of time. Another opportunity is to promote it in different places. So through social media and different Facebook groups and things like that. So I share the story all the time. Last year, I had a client looking. So I ran an ad through AgentLocator, and I borrowed a listing. It's one of the things I teach on how to borrow listings to generate leads very quickly. Borrowed the listing, got a buyer from it. I then posted that buyer what they were looking for in a couple different Facebook groups. As a result of that, I ended up getting 4 listing appointments. 2 of those listings I took. So I got 2 extra listings out of it. That client is now moving again, and they're going to be buying and selling with me. They're waiting. They just had a baby. As soon as the baby settles down, we're going to go back out and start looking at properties again. So they've got a buy and a sell and another property. So it's over 5 sales that came from one ad because I was out there promoting it and posting it and letting other people know about it. So I got an extra 2 deals just by promoting it to other people. So reverse prospecting for a needs and wants can be very powerful. And then going out and letting other agents know. Having the inside scoop is super powerful and super impactful in your farm. So letting other agents know what you've got and finding out what they've got can be super powerful. People want to know that you know what's going on in the community, and people want the inside scoop. And if you're networking, connecting with those other agents and letting them know what's going on, you can really add value to your buyers and sellers by doing that connection. For those of you who's with AgentLocator, you guys you can use something like the Nosy Neighbor program. This is a great way to reverse prospect. And a lot of people don't think about this when they're out prospecting. They just have it on as an online ad, but you can literally prospect with this. You could use it on postcards, which is one of the things we did. So I printed off my postcard on a long, wide poster, and that was one of the things we used on a postcard, and we use that in our area. Using the Nosy Neighbor is a great way to capture people's attention ahead of time. You can capture them before they're ready to make a move. Most people are thinking about making a move and they're not ready to make a move just yet. So as you guys know, if you're using AgentLocator's lead generation system, they're not looking to make a move for a while. But if you can focus that to your area, to your farm, you can reach more people and have an ongoing list of people. You can build a database of potential buyers and potential sellers and try to match that up. And then what you can then do is now use that in reverse prospecting. And when you reverse prospect, that is when you start having a much more effect. So when you've got a list and you walk into an appointment and you say, hey, I've got buyers looking in this area. I've got 4 buyers looking in this area. Have you thought about selling? Or I've got 2 sellers that are coming up and I've got a buyer you're trying to convert and you've got a list of potential buyers. You can then reverse prospect. Another way to reverse prospect is to do cold calling and door knocking when you can door knock, but do it when you have a legitimate buyer. And there's a number of reasons why this is so effective. And it works because, especially in your farm, you want to get your name out there consistently, and you want to let people know that you work that area. When you do reverse prospecting, people know that you're actually working for your client. A lot of times people think that agents just do nothing. We make a bunch of money and we sit back and do nothing. And they don't see agents out there hustling and doing work. If you're reverse prospecting on a consistent basis and each month or each quarter you're calling saying, hey, I've got buyers looking for this, this, and this. And hey, I've got buyers looking for this, this, and this. I've got buyers looking for this, and this. And they keep seeing that over and over again. They're going to know that you work the area. They're going to know that you're active. They're going to know that you're engaged in the area. And you're actually going to be able to build a long-term pipeline of people to fill your own funnel by doing that. Also, you're doing your job, which is what your buyers and sellers have hired you to do, is try to help them find a buyer or a seller for their properties and for their needs. So reverse prospecting can be very powerful if done correctly. A lot of agents, unfortunately, just sit back and hope deals happen and fall in their lap. Doing reverse prospecting can turn into a ton of business if you do it correctly. And lastly, education. Education is super important, and it's a great way to really help elevate you from that average agent to that expert and to that ambassador. And when you do the education, I call it information marketing, you can layer it in with the other strategies. And that's what's so great about it. You can tie an education component to the self-promotion. You can tie it into the community. You can tie it to the online. You can tie it to the prospecting. And you can tie in education very easily and very effectively and very efficiently. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It doesn't have to take much time to do that. And it helps take you from an agent who just cares about the transaction to an agent who cares about educating people and letting them know. And I've always said an educated client is a good client. Is a great client. So if you can help educate them, you can use that education to attract new clients and then educate the ones you already got and bring them further along the sales pipeline. So you can do that by doing a newsletter. A lot of people say, oh, newsletters are dead. They don't work. Newsletters are not dead. The reality is boring newsletters are dead. Boring content is dead. That's never been a good thing. It's never worked. If you do the same thing, the same that everyone else does, you're doing boring stats, Grandma Jean's jam recipe. If you're just doing boring stuff, people don't care. Think about a newsletter of what you would want to read, and think about a newsletter what would resonate with the area you're farming, and really work backwards from that and add in value to the community. So you could do renovation tips and things like that, but community events and things to do in the community, which we're tying together. You can stack these strategies together because you're already out and about in the community and you're doing community events. You're maybe doing videos, tie that into your newsletter. You could do funny stories or contests, and you could do giveaways. So doing some giveaways and promotions of the local businesses. You could do some free reports or a best of series. Really, with newsletters, it's the sky's the limit. Each person's newsletter is going to be different because each community should be different. So your newsletter shouldn't be cookie cutter, the exact same as everyone's. You should have some flavor to it and have your own personal touch to it. Now, you can use some templates and you can use some companies that do give you some guidelines, but you really want to personalize it to the area as well to make sure you're reaching more people, and you'll have a higher chance of turning that into business. Another one is a home price report. This is one of the ways we built our farm, was we offered a neighborhood a home price report. So we tied it in with a newsletter, and we did a report for the home sales in the area. We showed what was happening in the community. We showed the breakdown of what the home sales were, the prices, and all that kind of stuff. And we were able to educate them. I literally just got a phone call about 3 weeks ago from a guy who got our home price report 6 years ago. Haven't talked to him in 6 years because I haven't farmed in the area. And saying, hey, you used to send me that home price report. I'm thinking about selling. He's got $1.5 million home and wants to move to $1 million property. Comes from education. It comes from this report. We're providing value. We're educating them, and we're keeping them up to date, and people will respect that and resonate with that and really keep you top of mind because you're educating them on an ongoing basis. Sorry. Another one is an area guide. So if you're going to be farming in areas consistently, create a guide for the area. You should be doing this anyways. You should know the information. You're going to become the expert anyways. You know that's important. You can showcase you're the expert by creating an area guide. And it helps in two ways. It helps with new people coming to the area. They're going to want to find out what's happening in the community. You're going to be able to educate them and keep them up to date. It also ties into the people that are existing in the area, knowing that you care about the community, you're there and you're serving them. So you can tie in all the information about the area, things to do in the community, utility companies, important numbers, phone numbers, the town hall, the whatever, the garbage pickup schedule, tie that into one guide and use that as a marketing tool, and use that as something to really stand out and create value to people moving to your area and the people that are in the area as well. So I always wrap up with my 3 final thoughts. The first thing is you need to learn. You have to keep learning. This business never stops. We're always going to keep learning. That's the great thing about this business. Markets change, technology changes, strategies change. So you're always going to be in learning mode. If you are not in learning mode, you're failing. And if you think you've arrived, a good friend of mine told me this a long time ago. He said, if you think you've arrived, you've failed. The minute you think you've arrived, you don't need to learn anymore, your business is over. You might as well get out of the business. You're always going to need to be learning. And if you commit to learning, you're going to be able to grow your farm much better than other people. I've seen a lot of people who had great farms, stayed stagnant, stayed the same, did the same thing they did, and then didn't change and didn't adapt, and they started falling off and lost business. You need to commit to the farm, stick with it. A lot of people don't realize it does take time to grow a farm, just like anything. There's a time commitment, there's a financial commitment, there's an energy commitment that you have to stick with. And when you commit to that, you'll see the results, but it does take time. And then lastly, you have to start. If I don't plant that seed, that tree's not going to grow. If I don't plant that seed, that corn's not going to grow. And the longer it takes me to plant that, the longer it's going to take to grow. So you have to take action. You have to take action. If you're going to want to choose a farm, get out there and start and take action. So write it out. Tell someone, if you've got a spouse, a partner, a friend, a neighbor, a boss, whatever, tell them what you're going to do and take action on it in the next 48 hours, because you will see the results if you take action on it. So if you want some more help and you want to get some more information, there's a few things you can do. One of the things I have is my website. So it's launchyourfarm.com. So on the website, you can check out the interviews. I just released video 43. So I do a weekly show on there. I have a weekly blog that I put out there. So there's a ton of great content. So if you're looking to do farming and you want to get some ideas and some content on how you can do that and really get some guidance, those are great ways to do that. I also have some of my courses on there and some other great information in there as well. If you want to connect, you can connect with me on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook at launchyourfarm.com. I've also got two things coming up. So I've got a boot camp that I run. So I run this every 2 months. This is a great opportunity if you really want to take your farm to the next level. It's a small group. We do 8 live Zoom calls per week, or 1 per week for 8 weeks. We have over 15 strategies that we teach you, not these 15 strategies, but we dive into even more. And we walk you through step by step on how you can do that, implement into your business, and really teach you how to layer that in. It's a private Facebook group setting we've got as well. And it really helps you take your business to the next level. I'll show you in a second how you can get 20% off on that. That'll expire tomorrow night. If you want to check it out, it's thefarmbootcamp.com. And then if you have not farmed before and you want to get started, I created a program called 30-Day Launch, and it's 30 videos over 30 days. It's 1 video per day for 30 days. It's about a half an hour each video. And you watch the video, you go out and do homework, and it helps you literally find your farm, go out there, put your strategies in place. And by the end of it, in the end of the 30 days, you've got your farm up and running. So that's great for agents who really want that push to actually get them started and get out there and do that. So that's thefarmlaunch.com. And again, I'll show you in a second how you can get the 20% off. I've also got a scope calendar. So if you guys want to get a copy of that in a second, I'll show you how to get that. So it's laid out your plan for the year based on the scope method that I talk about. How do you build your strategies in place? How do you lay out your farm to really create the right plan for you to make sure you're sticking with it? It breaks it down weekly or daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, and helps you lay out the plan for that. So you can get a copy of that. And then I've got a report as well. It's 5 strategies to grow your farm. So it's a free guide as well as that. For that. So all that, if you go to launchyourfarm.com/AL15, you can get all of that. I'll send you an email. You sign up, and then we'll shoot you an email. It takes a minute just to go through. Make sure you do check your junk mail because it does show up in there. So you get the calendar, the strategies. You'll get the discount code for the boot camp and the launch your 30-day launch program. Plus, you get our weekly newsletter. So that's launchyourfarm.com/AL. So other than that, I'm opening up for questions. I'm happy to answer questions. This is one of my favorite parts because I'm sure you've got some questions, hopefully.
Yeah, there's a few of them. That was definitely great. I'm sure a lot of people were able to grab some valuable information just from what you're saying. And it resonates. Like I've seen actually other agents doing exactly what you're saying. And now it's like, I wonder if they were doing things with Ryan Smith. So Nikki's just asking for a copy of the presentation. Nikki, this was all recorded. So in the beginning, I said it'll be on our YouTube channel. So you'll definitely be able to go on there and check that out. It'll either be up later today, if not tomorrow. And we do have a couple questions here. So Anna was just asking, where would you go to find these events and where they're happening? And of course, it's a bit lacking right now, and I know this with respect to COVID and all the restrictions. So there's like, limited events that would be going on. But generally speaking, Ryan, where is one's best resource for finding these events to be able to showcase?
So the great thing is that there isn't a lot of places in one place. And that's why there's an opportunity for you to do this, because a lot of people have their own. Someone will post it on their own Facebook group. Someone will share something here. Someone will post on their page. And that's why being the resource for the events helps you become that ambassador. If there's already an existing place for all the events showcasing, you wouldn't be doing it because there's already a great place to do that. So it takes a bit of time and you got to go find it. But Facebook has an events tab. So you can go through events that are happening. There's another great resources. Meetup.com is fantastic for events and things that are happening in the community. Again, because of COVID, it's a bit different and the restrictions are in place, but there's a lot of things that are happening. A lot of people are smart with how they've shifted, and they've done online events, or they've done socially distanced things, and they've changed how they do it. Mm-hmm. So the other great thing is, because of the COVID restrictions, a lot of people are not doing these things and they're not putting their time and energy in them. As it starts coming back, if you're there now, you'll be that person who's going to catch the momentum when things start to go back to normal, and you can become that go-to person as people start to go back looking for things to do. The other opportunity is to help have people create their own events, as far as teach them how to do something in your backyard. How do you go camping? And really help people live life COVID friendly. Going forward, you can interview people and have people on. I had a friend of mine who's in one of my coaching programs. She did an event on how to groom your dog when COVID first hit. She had on a dog groomer and had them showcase, how do you take care of your dog? Because if you can't go in and get your dog taken care of. Matt Santagappa, who I talked about, he just did an event and did a trivia night and had 60 or 70 people show up to his trivia night and gave some giveaways. And he's going to do that on a quarterly basis. So because there's not one place, that creates opportunity for you. So yes, it's going to take some time, but as you start doing that, people will start coming to you with events. People will start reaching out to you saying, hey, I've got this thing coming up. Can you help me promote it? Or can you showcase this? So it does take work.
And there is definitely, because I know just, having a family, we go, and like the weekends, we're always checking to see what events, what can we do when you search. So just doing even Google searches, often the city pages, community pages that, are run by your local municipality will have stuff. Sometimes you can find them on Kijiji, and then you already have it there. It's just kind of pulling it and plugging it into your website. And
then letting people know about, like, hey, here's the 5 places that are doing fireworks this weekend in case you're out with the kids.
Exactly.
Or something like that. And then you can tie that in and give that opportunity for people to check out what you're doing and what's going on.
Now, Ishbal is saying you focus a lot on videos and marketing via community. This means you need a standby camera guy to cover up. Do you know someone for it?
That's not true. So you need a camera stand, and you can do something like this with a gimbal. You can literally shoot your own videos. Your phone goes in it and it literally tracks your movement. So you really don't need anyone. You can use your cell phone. You don't even need that.
Selfie videos. Yeah. Those are great little things. Absolutely.
You can buy a $30 or $40 tripod and a camera holder, and that's really all you need. You don't need a whole lot. Now, if you want to get into higher caliber videos, obviously getting someone to help you with camera work can help. But I always say start. Don't commit to doing that until you've started doing videos consistently. A lot of people do that. They go out and spend a lot of money. They'll hire a camera person. It's like, start creating your own videos consistently, get the content out there. And then as you get a follower, as you learn what works, what's not working, then you can elevate yourself to getting more videos that way.
Absolutely. And videos, really, I find, a lot of people are nervous behind the camera.
Yeah.
You just have to do it, right? It's not, and in many cases, you're not creating a live video. So if you're, stumble on your words, you're like, and delete, let's start over, right? So it's maybe when you get to that point where you do your first live video that is very nerve-wracking because you only got one go at it. But as you're creating recorded content, you can spend as much time as you need to feel confident in sharing it with everyone.
Yep. I also find having someone to do it with helps you. So when I first got started, I did videos with my mortgage broker, and that created an accountability because then we were accountable to each other. Then we could also feed off each other, and then we could have conversations. Some people have a hard time literally looking at the camera and just talking to the camera and having it feel natural, but they're quite confident having a conversation with someone and it just being recording it. So having someone do being with you works. That's why I like business interviews, because interviews are so powerful, because you don't have to come up with the content yourself. You're interviewing the other person. You just got to ask questions, and you may not be amazingly comfortable asking questions, but it's a lot easier to ask a question than to rhyme off 10 minutes of content. So by having the interviews can really help create value, create content that you don't have to come up with from scratch, and make it super simple. Another thing with video is that, like you said, you don't have to do it live. Just get used to it, be okay with it, but put out, doesn't have to be perfect. Like put out stuff. Like if you saw the first videos I ever did, I would never put that out now based on then. But if I didn't put that out originally, I wouldn't have been where I'm at today. It takes time, and just got to consistently keep doing it.
Absolutely. And Chris is asking, do you look at market stats of an area, i.e. the turnover, price point, number of dominant agents in that area? And Chris, if I have to guess, this is kind of in relation to how you're choosing where to farm in general.
Yeah, so those are all important. One thing I talk about, my first webinar I did for AgentLocator last year, we talked about the myths. And one of the myths is that turnover rate's the most important number. And that's a number. It's not the most important number. There's a number of factors, and there's no right or wrong, because each person has their own goals, their own reasons for why they want to farm. Someone may say, I want to farm this area because I live in it. Then who cares if the turnover rate's good, or who cares about the price point? Someone may say, I want to go after luxury homes, and then the turnover rate may not be as high. So you got to look at a lot of factors, but competition is definitely one of them. Turnover rate, price point, style of home, trends of the area. Is it becoming a new area? I just launched my episode today with Tobias Smulders, and he picked an area. If you guys know Hamilton, the Hamilton Beach Strip, it's right under the Burlington Skyway. Was not known as the nicest area, but people started realizing that you're spending more money in the area because they can't get waterfront property anywhere else. Burlington was $1.5 million, and his were 500,000. And then people started building these giant homes on it. So he got it at the trend where it was starting to take off. There's some areas where they're flatlining. So there's a lot of factors that you need to take into consideration when you're choosing a farm. If you do the 30-day launch, that walks you through literally the first week of that program is just going through all those numbers and doing the research, so you choose the right area. But yes, there's a lot of things you need to do.
Perfect. And then Craig was just asking, just more of a generalized question, is wondering what the street match is. Well, or nosy neighbor, it's one of the two, same thing. So Craig, that's a landing page that's actually built into all of our branded websites. So, and really what it'll do is it'll nurture those potential sellers or, existing clients you have by sending them the listing information of homes that are going on the market in their area. So it keeps you top of mind and is giving them information of true value that they're going to look forward to actually receiving and learning more about. And depending on what board you're with, so if we have the sold data for the board that you're on, those landing pages will also send the sold information once that property sells. So it's really just a great way. And again, if you're door knocking, not everyone's going to sell, but you can walk away, not completely empty-handed, because most people, if you tell them about that, they are nosy neighbors. They want to see what their neighbors' homes are listing and selling for in that area, whether they're planning a move within the next few months or the next few years. So it's, but yeah, so if you just even speak to your sales rep, Craig, specifically as a Mel, he can definitely give some more information on that specifically. And David is just asking if there's any examples of the direct marketing postcards that you do. So I imagine that may be part of your program.
Yeah, I don't have that. Yeah. But one of the things I would say when it comes to those kind of postcards is there's so many opportunities to create direct response marketing postcards, and AgentLocator is great because every page that is on that website is an opportunity for you to as a marketing piece. The nosy neighbor, the home valuation, the calculators, all of those things you can use as opportunities to get people to come to you. And that's one thing I preach. I'm not an agent who says, push my name out there. It's get people to come to me. So every marketing piece that I do is always to try to attract people to come to me, to put their hand up and to reach out. So it's not just sending out my name and my face over and over again. That takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of money. I'd rather get their names out. So you can use AgentLocator or obviously you guys are all using Agent Locator because you're here. But there's so many opportunities to really drive people to your site, drive people to your Facebook group, drive people to your landing pages to get them to put their hand up to offer something of value. So that's the one thing I would say is it should be something of value that's driving them. And I use this as an example is it's got to be worth it for them to leave their information. And if it's not worth it, they're not going to. I use the example, if I go to the store and someone says, hey, go fill out this survey for a chance to win $100. That isn't as exciting versus if they say, hey, go online and fill out the survey and you'll get $5 off your next purchase.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit more exciting. Or I was at KFC once and he said, fill out the survey. And if you do it right now, I'll give you a popcorn chicken. Well, for me, if I literally went and sat down, I'm going to get a popcorn chicken. That's way more worth it for me. Here's a popcorn chicken. So whatever we're offering has to be exciting and valuable enough that they're going to go, okay, I'm going to give my information to them. So just think how you can provide value to people to get them to put their hand up. Perfect.
Well, that is it. Thanks, Ryan. You definitely shared some valuable information, and even, if people aren't joining and running your program, you've given them some insight on things and areas of things to focus on and different strategies to gain new business and in areas that they probably didn't even think of for many of them.
That's my intention.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the whole the business interviews because it is such a great way. And if you're not, comfortable doing the interviews, it's just going in and being your own critic, whether it's, going into a local little, clothing store, a little cafe or a restaurant, and just creating your own little videos of content. And you will start to get a following just in that. Addo had done a webinar previously with an agent who does TikTok, and he doesn't focus any of his videos on real estate. Yeah. He focuses it on the area and little places that he goes to, and he's built a huge following. And when they just go to his profile, he has a link where that's where they see he's actually a realtor, but he gives his true opinions on various things, and it really connects with a lot of individuals. And it's just the business is coming. He's not even trying to get the real estate business. It's just the audience is converting into business.
Yeah, I recently recorded an episode. It's coming out in 2 weeks, and the guy does it's Eat New Westminster, and he focuses on restaurants, and he focuses on eating in the area, and he has 7,200 people in his group, and I think New Westminster has 70,000 people. He has over 10% of the population in his Facebook group, and he said he did 26 sales in the last year from that group. So, and he said 12 of them he's never even met, didn't know anything about. So getting out there, being active in the community and giving back is huge. So I dropped the link in if you guys want to register to get the bonuses. Things like that, so you guys can check that out.
And that's, of course, Anna is asking in the launchyourfarm.com. That's where they can watch your episodes as well.
Yep. You just go to the LYF show at the top, or you can go to YouTube or the Facebook group. I post them in all there. So.
Awesome. Well, very much appreciated, Ryan. And
thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone who jumped on. I know a lot of you had to jump off. It's a busy time of year for you guys. So we do appreciate you taking an hour of your day, or a bit over an hour of your day to join us here. And again, go to launchyourfarm.com if you're interested in Ryan's services and getting your farm launched. And we will see you all again for the next webinar, whenever that is.
Happy farming, everybody.
Yeah, happy farming. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.